How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the build for Carino 2 Ice Lances. This is probably the best build in the league. The build is already good. It just got even better with all the things that are going on. And I can kind of showcase kind of the tree that I am going with here to speed farm Profound. And I could probably push it into deep space. Deep space requires a little bit more defenses, and I will probably push into that when this character actually gets to like 95 or 96, 97, things like that. But let's go ahead and jump into the tree itself. First things first, we have our points here in God of Deception. We are just grabbing the energy shield, the attack and cast speed with the skill cost. Oops, this way we don't need this persistent roll here. And then we are just pushing into this Reap and Affliction here, and then this erosion damage and damage applied to life in this tree. We are grabbing Windwalk, and we are grabbing Subtle Impact, because everything on this build we are just scaling Blur, and we are stacking Blur Effect. For the Psychic tree here, we're going all into ES again, and this damage to crowd-controlled enemies, Reaping duration here. And then we are grabbing this chance to blind on hit. As you get into the profound and deep space kind of things that you're doing, you end up needing to focus a lot more on defenses. So blinding on hit's really big just because it gives that extra bit of avoidance. And then same thing goes with blur. So then we are stacking this reaping cooldown recovery here. We have this affliction effect and less res while things are at max affliction. And then we are grabbing daze here, which gives increased crowd control effects here, and then additional ailment damage. And then this is, because this is blur gaining the effect, this is actually being scaled by our blur effect as well, which makes days really, really good. And then we are running more with less on this last node here for the additional 30% damage over time. And then we have our warlock tree here, which again, we're just grabbing the energy shield and then the affliction effect here. We're grabbing our chance for ailments and ailment duration. And then we're grabbing this ES here, the extra charges, and then we're grabbing the all skill levels. I'm grabbing the res for now. Eventually you'll just want to grab the movement speed for when you actually get to the point, or just get to the point where you end up leaning into this damage, whichever you prefer, if you want the movement speed or damage. We do take off the beaten track because we are trying to run for auras, and then we do run indifference. For your slates, you're pretty much just looking for a jump on everything. Jump with the special supports for Ice Lances does basically provide your biggest multiplier. So eventually you're just basically going for all jumps on everything. And then you are using a prairie in order to duplicate. The jumps on that, you do want to make sure you get like one source of this gain blur per 5 stacks of wilt. If you want to have a good source of easily gotten blur, basically repeatable, so you're constantly refreshing stealth stab for Valerie's. And then you are going to need to make sure that you have you need to get 13% sealed mana compensation. You actually don't need 13. You can get away with just a 10% actually on the tree here in order to actually reserve all of your auras. So because we are running off the beaten track, you end up basically just needing to throw in junk additional supports in here in order to get your sealed mana down. And then you have the same thing here, so I'm just putting increased area in here, which doesn't do anything. And then this is a cooldown recovery. I don't need this, so I actually just took the points out and I moved it into my frigid transmission here. And then for Energy Fortress, I could run an additional support in here, but I do want to be sealing more life because we're getting blur effect per 0.5% life in reserved. So then I have a curse here as well, with a soul candle here. I actually do need to swap out this candle since I started messing around and using Path of Flames as like a movement skill. This candle came from my Thea 3, so I need to actually replace that. And then we have a chance to gain any blessing when triggering a skill. We are triggering everything on this build, so this build is very expensive. I'll warn you now. It's not really cheap. You can get into the build fairly cheap, but you're going to want to have some money before you go onto this. But the build probably scales into deep space cheaper than any other build out there right now. the damage gets kind of crazy. So the core of the build is Ice Lances here with Rebound and Bounce. I was given this track. This is basically a mapping luxury, I guess. If you are going to get this, you do want to be focusing on just getting an activation medium rhythm. The lower activation medium time you can get, the better. So 0.2 seconds is the lowest you can get on this. So go ahead and get one of those if you can. Otherwise, just again, if you get an activation medium track, make sure it has to specifically have always lock on. Otherwise, this doesn't work. So if you are going to buy one of these, this just works better for mapping because it does fire at multiple targets at once, where Ice Lances only fires at the one. So keep that in mind. Then we do have Corruption here with activation medium root. So every time we're teleporting around, that's doing that. I'm running Path of Flames right now just for a ease of use of not having to click an extra button or to not have to hold down left click in order to move. If you are trying to focus on damage, you do want to be running Black Hole instead. This is going to be better. I'm just being very, very lazy with Path of Flames, so that's why I do need to replace this blessing because it is, or this curse, because it's causing me to lose my blessings every single time I teleport. Because when you teleport, you're losing your stacks of your channeling skills, considering ended whenever you're doing that. So I'm pretty sure it's making me lose my blessings. So I am using Frigid Transmission here with Quick Mobility, Cooldown Reduction, Magic Dash, and Reaping Agony. And the reason why I am using this is because I am actually resetting my Frigid Transmission constantly with Frostbitten. This isn't the best damage-wise slate you can get. Typically, if you're going to run anything with a pedigree, you want to make sure it has +1 jump and then something good on it. I didn't really care I just wanted Frostbitten on here, so I just found something like decent. Frostbitten with Kinetic Conversion gives me an extra, basically, barrier every time I move. Extra defenses. Realistically, like, I don't really need the damage that much right now for what I'm trying to do, because I'm not really trying to push this into deep space right now. When I do want to push it into deep space, I will just get a damage slate. But the extra defenses from Frostbitten have been kind of nice because everything just instantly freezes when I first touch it. So everything basically dies within that original freeze anyways. So that is why I'm running Frigid Transmission, so it resets more often as well. And that helps out. So then we are running a Shackles of Malice here with Shackles of Malice to file here for that extra curse effect with an activation medium rhythm. You can use an activation medium instruction or whatever you have instead. But yeah, whatever you want. This has a right here. We're using Grudge in order to get paralyzed on things as well. And then we're just running all 4 auras here. Energy Fortress, Precise Projectiles, Deep Pain, and Erosion Enhancement. For the hero memories, you just want Reaping Cooldown Recovery Speed, +2 if you can get it. But pretty much you're just using this here to get additional damage after using mobility skills, which you're constantly using them. And then the just extra jump here and extra damage dealt by projectile skills. And then we are running this here with this reloads all ammo. When using mobility skills, and then you're just constantly using mobility skills in order to reload. So let's go ahead and showcase this in a map, and then yeah, we'll kind of show you. I'm gonna get the test here on whether or not I'm actually losing my blessings here. Now I am still just using this Dark Surge Clockwork deck that I was running in a video before, so you can kind of get a feel for this now as well.
Emerging.
I typically will choose this one here that, yeah, this is making me lose my blessings. Let's actually replace this candle real fast right now. 1 second. Curse. These aren't very expensive, so. Skill area? No. No. Well, they weren't that expensive. I guess they're going up in price now. Should be fine to find a cheap one still, though. Lose 2% max mana when triggering a skill. I mean, I don't really need my mana for anything. I don't think that would matter. It might though. This is surprising. We'll figure this out later. We'll just run around with no blessings. It's okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're getting it to treat as though we don't have an additional slate right now, which is not the end of the world. You'll see, even without the blessings, this is not an issue, so we'll get a feel for it. So the one thing you do get, again, with Frigid Transmission is you do, when you are actually have enemies around, you are getting more consistent resets if you are running it with this Frostbitten Slate. You don't have to do that. If you don't have that, honestly, just run it with Blink instead. Blink has a slightly lower cooldown, so you're going to get the refreshers on it more often anyways with itself. So you don't have to do anything about it. Not required, but very helpful nonetheless. I could actually show this. I probably shouldn't though. It's going to be hard to actually see if I actually turn on all the projectiles and allow everything to be seen, so let's go ahead and not do that. But let's go in here. I noticed we actually didn't even go over the gear for this yet, so we'll actually pause that here because this video is getting a little long anyways. We don't need to actually see the whole video. You guys get a gist or the idea of what the gear is doing here, so let me set this to actually pause the game while we're in a screen. Pause the game. Okay, so for weapons and gear, basically, you are just going for the standard reaping setup here. So when reaping, energy shield starts immediately. So your your energy shield is always starting again right away. You want this corrupted for +3. For your gloves, you want these corrupted for this 68% stacks here for that extra erosion pen. For your boots, we have Valerie's Nitrile here. You basically just want these corrupted for extra movement speed. The extra damage is good as well. And then we are running a triple blur chaotic ending here. So we can look at these, they don't have to necessarily be corrupted. We could look at these with triple blur. They're not the most expensive thing, only about 500 FE. For your weapons, you're looking for these exact stats. You want a blur effect base or like a +1 focus blessing base. Depending if you want more offense or defense, then you are just dreamcrafting blur on here. Then we want this here, this int, spell skill levels, reap, and then we are going for reading cooldown recovery speed, base percent of the skill's damage as base wilt damage, and then affliction effect, and then same thing for the other one here. If you only hit +1 cold, you only hit +1 cold. A little bit of ES also goes a really, really long way defensively. So you can do that. Keep that in mind if you're having issues with survivability. For your ring, you are trying to get a... you are going for a curse on hit. So you want to make sure you get a curse on hit here for your ring, and then you are just going for affliction effect, and you're probably going to need this to finish out your res. And then for your belt here, you're going for this wilt duration, the res here with elemental ailment avoidance. You want the elemental ailment avoidance so you can start stacking it if you are going to be ready for deep space here on things. Then you're getting this reap on doing wilt, and then int, max ES, and additional damage taken while at low life. So for the blending, we did blend beyond cure. There might be cheaper options to blend, but that's kind of what we went for. For the false god skin, get one like this that's either corrupted with both of these here, to where you actually have triple int plus double node here, or you can see this and you can get it with another int node as well. 3 ints and 10%, they don't need to be corroded. Or 4 ints and 10% here. These ones are cheaper, or more expensive, I guess. So I guess because the corrupted ones are, the corrupted ones will be better overall anyways, though. So do what's best for you. You're going to be better off buying this one because this is more int than the other one is. So you will be saving yourself money that way. So take your pick, I guess, on whatever. If you're over 500 int already, then this 14% all stats is going to come out ahead. But if you're not, then just get one that's like all int or whatever. And then for your helmet, it's just reaping duration, affliction effect, and then res if you need the res. If you don't, then you can always go something more offensive again. Yeah, I think that's that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. And other than that, see you in the next one.